to Linda's Pantry. So today I've got a canning session for you, and the end result is back there on the counter. And what I did was I was cleaning out the freezer for to make room for our hunt this fall. We've got quite a few tags available for us, and we'll need room in the freezer. And while I was in there, I realized that I had overlooked a big bunch of meat that has gone past the date that I feel comfortable eating it. And I didn't see any freezer burn on it, but a couple of the packages, you kind of smell that freezer burn. And so I just did not want to throw it in the garbage, and I felt like I'd be wasting it. And I thought, you know, I'm going to can this up for my dogs. And so that's what I've done. And this is batch number 2, but I canned this up, and they'll have this over their kibble, or we can save this for an emergency just in case we were out of dog food and we couldn't get to a store. They would have something to eat. And so I hope it inspires you to maybe step outside the box and think of other ways you can utilize something instead of just throwing it away. And yep, it took a little bit of work, but it'll be worth it in the long run, and I feel better about the whole thing. So that being said, I hope I get a thumbs up for this, and you go down in my About section, check out all the links that I've left for you, and go say hi on Facebook, and share this video if you want to. All right, guys, let's go see how I did this. Super easy. So, like I said in the beginning of the video, this meat, trying to clean out the freezer, get ready for a hunt, and this meat got kind of lost in the shuffle. And to look at it, I don't see any visible signs of freezer burn at all. But because I have this in freezer bags, and then I wrap in butcher paper. So it really does protect it, but it's not, to me, it's not okay for us to eat anymore. I guess if I was starving, that'd be a different story, but this is gonna go for the dogs, and it will go over their regular dog food, and it can be used for emergencies or, you know, whatever the situation. So all I'm doing is I'm cutting this up just like stew meat. Some of it's already cut into stew meat. These just happen to be steaks, and my heart won't let me throw this stuff away. So the dogs are happy to have it. They love it. And this is the second batch of meat. So each quart jar will hold about 2 pounds of meat. And then when you raw pack your, it creates its own juices, so you don't have to worry about pre-cooking it or par-cooking the meat and adding broth. We're just doing it the easiest way, the fastest way for me to get this job done. Yeah. And some of this is still partially frozen, but it's going to sit in the canner for a few minutes, so while everything else is getting ready. So we're going to load up these jars. And each jar, like I said, about 2 pounds of meat. And it's a little time consuming, but there again, I know I've got this put away and I don't have to worry about wasting the meat. And I'm going to can this just the same way I would as if I was canning it for us. And that would be get as much air and pack these jars as good as you can. As much air out of the jar as you possibly can. And then we're going to wipe the rim down, make sure there's no nicks in the jar, which I've already inspected my jars. I've run them through the sanitize on the dishwasher, but the canner's going to get up to 240 degrees, so that's hot enough to kill botulism, and so we're safe. All right, so I've got that jar packed, and I pack it right to this bottom rim here, and that's good enough for me. Rinse my hands really good. Then I'm going to take my I've got a wet cloth. You can use just water or you can use vinegar. I like to use vinegar just because then it gets all the oils off. The actual rim of the jar here needs to be clean and free of anything. You don't have to salt your meat. Even if this was for us, I don't always salt it. That's a flavor thing. It's not a necessity. So I'm gonna grab one of my lids and ring, and we're gonna put that on finger tight. It's gonna go in the canner and wait for the rest of them. And I'm bringing the canner up to about 180 degrees. I don't want it too hot because I don't want to crack my jars. So we're gonna bring these up slowly, and then we'll get to canning, and I'll bring you back when I got it all loaded. So my canner is full. I've got 7 jars in there, 2 of which are 1.5 size jars, and the rest are quart jars. And I time them exactly the same because they are bigger than a pint. So I'd rather have it well done than not well enough. But so these, I'm going to bring this up to speed, put the lid on, and I've inspected my lid. The rubber gasket is good, the vent hole is clear, and we're going to bring this up to a boil, and once it starts venting, we'll vent it for 10 full minutes, and then we'll put our rocker on, our weight, and for my altitude it's 15 pounds pressure, but I'm at 4,500 feet above sea level, so you can look in a ball canning book and or look online on the federal guidelines for canning in your area. So, and the water in the canner is per the instructions for your canner. Every canner might be a little bit different. So anyways, hopefully that answers some questions that might come up. All right, we're going to get canning. So for those of you that aren't familiar with canning, when I talk about venting, that means that button back here is popped up, and that means it's pressurizing the canner. And then there's a steady stream, you can't really see it in the camera, but there's a steady stream of steam coming out of that vent hole. And that needs to go for 10 full minutes like that. I just set the timer on my phone and or your kitchen timer so you get exactly 10 minutes. And then we put our weighted rocker on and bring it up to pressure again. And then we go ahead and we're going to can this for 90 full minutes. Okay, so my canner has come down off of pressure, and I've opened the lid and let it sit here and rest a little bit. It's still very, very hot, but I like to let them rest for a couple of minutes before I just rip them out of the canner. Now, if I had Tadler lids on these, I would want to bring them out right away and retighten the lids down. So you want to be very careful. Bring it over to a towel, and this old label has come off, thankfully. And they're still boiling inside the jars, so there we have it. The dogs are going to be very happy when they get this treat. And it smells delicious. So I'm glad that I'm not wasting this meat at all, and it's going to be used for something. So I guess what I need to do is put on the schedule to rotate the bottom of the freezer like every 3 months, and so I don't lose anything. And this just got, you know, overlooked. And when I cleaned my freezer out completely a couple years ago, it just needed to be used by, you know, then. So all of these jars are going to sit here and rest for a full 24 hours. And I'm still going to take the rings off tomorrow morning, scrub the jars nice and clean, put the rings back on, and I'm going to label them on the lid, venison dog food. And what year I canned it and month, and then they'll be good to go. So I hope it inspires you to don't waste what you have in the freezer. If you have animals that can benefit from are being wasteful, basically, or not being able to eat enough of that in a short amount of time. Had I caught this prior to that, you know, being too old, usually what I do is can up the meat this season before we go hunting again. And so I wish that I would have done that, but I didn't. So I hope it inspires you to check on your dogs. You know what? They deserve a little good stuff too. All right, guys, I can't wait to see you next time. I hope you hit the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. And as always, I hope that if you enjoyed this video, you'll give me a thumbs up and go ahead and post it on your Facebook page, as well as come back next time because I've got some delicious recipes coming up and some prepping ideas that you might enjoy. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. God bless.